Welcome, everyone. My name is Ricki Linksman. I'm author of How to Learn Anything Quickly, Super Links to Accelerated Learning, and Keys to Reading Success, 2 brain-based online internet programs to help anyone of any age learn anything quickly. I'd like to welcome you to 7 Secrets for Parents to help your kinesthetic or tactile child excel. So again, I'm Ricki Linksman. I'm also founder and director of National Reading Diagnostics Institute in Keys Learning, headquartered in Naperville, Illinois, which is a center where parents and teachers come for training in accelerated learning. We apply that to reading, study skills, and test taking, and where we do diagnostic testing to find the student's problem. We assess their super links to find their fastest way of learning. And then we solve their problem by filling in their gaps as fast as we can by teaching reading, study skills, and test taking in their fastest way of learning. I found over the years that parents and teachers are looking for the fastest way to solve their students' problems, because we all know that for every day that a student is struggling or being left behind, it's not only hard to catch up, but they're in pain. They feel like they're a failure, that they're not as good as other students. And then they often give up, tune out, and maybe later even drop out. So I've been dedicated over 35 years to help these kids find their problem quickly and fix it fast. And I've decided that I wanted to share my secrets with parents and teachers. So if you cannot come to Naperville or have me fly out because the waiting list is getting longer and longer and there's just so many people who need help, that I'd like you to learn how to help your own child or students yourselves using techniques that are going to get them out of that pain and frustration as fast as possible. Parents and teachers. So basically you can learn in a few hours what I've spent 35 years developing. That I'll be sharing with you the top 7 secrets that I've uncovered and that I use and has helped tens of thousands of students, including the kinesthetic and tactile learners, be successful. So you can use these strategies also. Now, let me define these terms for you. When I talk about kinesthetic learners, I'm talking about those who learn best through the movement of their large motor muscles, by doing and by action. When I talk about tactile learners, I'm talking about those who learn best through their hands and fingers, through information coming in from their skin, such as hot and cold, comfort and discomfort, or from their feelings, emotionally. The other 2 learning styles are visual, learning through seeing visuals, using their eyes, and auditory, learning through listening and talking. But if your child is not kinesthetic or tactile, there are many tips we'll be talking about that will definitely apply. Now, there are children who are combinations, so they may be partly visual and partly kinesthetic. You can use these strategies as well. The first thing I want to say to all the parents listening is that if you're one of those who have been frustrated in not knowing how to help your kinesthetic or tactile child, or even if it's your auditory or visual child who is struggling, it is not hopeless. Your child can succeed. We have a variety of parents and teachers listening in who want to help their kinesthetic and tactile learners. Some are listening because their child's already doing well. They're maybe in honors or gifted classes, and they want them to continue to excel. Others are parents of children who are just getting by, and they want them to do better. We also have a number of grandparents listening in who want to help their grandchildren. Then there are parents whose children who are struggling. You want them to get to grade level and even advance in the shortest possible time. And I know many of you are frustrated because I've talked to parents and helped parents over 35 years. You know your child is bright, but somehow cannot do well in school. You may find your child just does not seem to learn in the way he or she is being taught. I say to you, help is on the way. You've come to the right place. Tens of thousands of people somehow have found me when no one else could help their children. And they've told me that they got relief right away. So if you've not found answers before, then my hope is that you will begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel for your child's success and happiness. How do I know? Because I've had thousands of parents come to me with tears of joy glistening in their eyes, saying to me, thank goodness I found you. Where were you earlier in my child's life? In fact, that's the number one statement I hear again and again. Where were you years ago before I took my child through so much to get help and they still haven't been helped? I'd like to share one example that represents thousands of parents and grandparents who've been coming to me to help unravel the mystery of their child or grandchild. I got a call from a grandfather who was retired from the Navy, who was keen to see his bright, eager grandchild be left back to spend 2 years in kindergarten. And when he called me, the boy was in first grade, but still did not even know his letters and could not read a single word, not even his name. Not knowing why the boy couldn't read after 2 years and now in first grade in school, the boy was labeled as ADHD and put on medication. So now this is his third year in school and he still could not read. The grandfather knew something was wrong and began a global search on the internet for solutions. So when he found me, he was desperate. He got on a plane from Virginia, flew to Chicago with his grandson. The boy was dressed up in a three-piece suit to meet the lady who might finally answer his prayers. When I asked him what he wanted the most during his trip to Chicago, the boy said with pure conviction, "I want to learn to read, Howard," or seeing the Chicago Bulls play, which few really want to watch anymore anyway, or going to the zoo. He only wanted to learn to read and prove to himself he was not stupid or dumb, as the other children would have him believe. So I gave him the Super Links to Accelerated Learning Assessment that I developed over the past 35 years to find his fastest way of learning, to see how his brain learns the best. I also gave him the Keys to Reading Success online reading diagnostic test that I had developed, and found that he was a kinesthetic right brain learner. And the prescriptive plan from Keys showed the gaps that he had in reading. I then scheduled a 2-hour session to teach the boy the skills he needed and to model for his grandfather and the boy the kinesthetic right brain learning techniques to learn to read. Within 2 hours, he was able to read not only some words, but he read a first grade book for the first time in his entire life. He smiled broadly and announced, "I can read." He was so excited over the next few days that he spent in Chicago as he learned how to read in his kinesthetic style that he would clutch that little book to his chest as if it were his dearest friend. He would even stop strangers on the street to ask them if they wanted to listen to him read to them. When he was ready to return to Virginia, back to his first grade class to join the rest of the students there as a reader, I asked, "So, what did you like best about your trip to Chicago?" And he replied, "You taught me to read." I don't know if there's a dry eye among you now, but my eyes filled with tears of joy whenever I remember this little boy and the joy in the heart of his grandfather and the boy's parents to find that his grandson could learn to read. He was relieved to discover that his difficulty was not due to anything wrong with the child, but that the boy was merely a kinesthetic learner who just needed to be taught in the way that his brain worked the best. In fact, the boy learned so well through the kinesthetic technique that they were able to take him off his ADHD medication, and he continued to be a successful learner. This is just one of tens of thousands of accounts that make up my life. Desperate parents or grandparents or teachers not knowing how to help their students, and then finding out their child's brain learns in a different way. And by making some adjustments, the child's life is transformed, and he or she sees that he and she can learn, and not only learn, but even rise to the top of his or her class. These results are phenomenal. Tens of thousands of students who have used these methods accelerated their progress in reading. They didn't have to be left back. They could graduate. They could move from remedial reading classes back into their regular classes. And many no longer qualified for special ed because they were able to read not only at grade level, but above. So many students who originally thought to be special ed, using the techniques that matched their brain, were able to read so well that they didn't even qualify for special ed, and some even were put into gifted programs. Students who came from countries where, when they moved here, English was their second language, they learned to read English so quickly that many of them advanced. When they entered kindergarten, they were reading at a first or second grade level. Just to share some statistics, 88 to 99% of all students in K through 12 were able to rise 2 to 5 grade levels in reading, anywhere between 4 and 8 months. They raised scores on their state reading tests. For example, those listening from Illinois, you know about the ISAT test, or in high school, the ACT or SAT, including those who are kinesthetic or tactile learners, those with ADHD, many in special ed, and those in remedial reading. Students from inner-city schools to suburban schools, where students may never have made state standards, rose from two-thirds not meeting state standards to two-thirds meeting or exceeding in only 6 to 8 months. Schools with 83% of students whose English is not the first language not only met state standards, but we had one school that rated third highest in their district. Students who get D's and F's went to A's and B's. So from a life of feeling like they're stupid or dumb, they're transformed within days and weeks, happy children or teens filled with pride and confidence that they're just as smart as everyone else. And they prove it by not only matching, but exceeding the other students. And many have become the top of their class. This works time and again like a science. They rose to above grade level in weeks and months, not years. And this is what's possible for each of your children or grandchildren, no matter where they are today. Thus, I've spent about tens of thousands of hours in 35 years of my life and hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce what I know is the fastest way of learning, including reading, in the world today, and which I'm sharing with parents and teachers now in my teleseminar courses that I offer and through my assessments and materials. And I'm committed to sharing whatever I have found works. Not fluff, not theory, but only what works. Students excel and to solve your problem. Now, these 7 secrets to success can also apply not only to kinesthetic and tactile learners, but to even visual and auditory learners. It can apply to young children, preschoolers, children, teens, no matter what grade level. Pre-K, K through 12, or college, even adults. These tips can even help your newborn baby or toddlers have a strong foundation. And of course, if you're a parent or teacher who's continuing their education, this will even help you, your family, and loved ones. Now, we have a special bonus also. We'll tell you how to get your free bonus of fun tactile learning activities you can use with your child of any age, from elementary, middle, high school. You're listening to Ricki Linksman. This is 7 Secrets for Parents to help your kinesthetic and tactile child excel. Now, we're going to begin these 7 secrets. These come from the most common questions asked by parents of kinesthetic and tactile learners. The first secret is based on the principle that success is the key element for success for kinesthetic and tactile learners. Now, if your child is auditory or visual, then this can also apply equally as well. So the most common question parents ask me is, my child hates school, hates to read, won't do homework, and is now getting into trouble. What can I do? This frequently asked questions comes from parents of children of many ages, from elementary to middle to high school. So let me share an example of a student who fits this description. This is a boy who was in 5th grade, misbehaved, acted out in school, and even was on probation by the police outside of school. It was like he was Lord of the Flies in school, where he'd stand on the desk, get the kids running around, acting out, and he just didn't take school seriously. I was invited in to help the class get on track, and I knew that when a child acts out like that, there's a symptom of something else bothering him. So with my training in understanding children, I had a meeting with the child, and I said, you know, if you could have Aladdin's lamp and a genie to grant you any wish regarding your schoolwork, what would it be? His reply absolutely shocked me. He said flat out, I want to be in the 6th grade math book. I had to do a double take. Here was a boy in 5th grade, didn't care about school, on probation, and the most important thing for him was to be in the 6th grade math book. So I said, why did he choose this as his dream? And this is the story he told me. He said, you know, when I was in 1st grade, for some reason, I couldn't read that well. So the teachers decided that I had to be left back and repeat grade 1 again. And all my friends went on to the 2nd grade except me. I always felt stupid, like something was wrong with me. I then knew why he was acting out, because the only way to build his self-esteem and confidence, because he was not getting it from school, was to get it from peer approval and leading the kids into gang-like behavior. So I said to him, do you know what? I'm going to help you get into the 6th grade math book. Well, his face just lit up. I assessed him, and he was a kinesthetic learner. So I spent time with him, teaching him math in a kinesthetic way. His parents could not believe the change in him. They called me up. He comes home, and he spends hours on his math homework. He's never done this before. He was motivated. The result was that in 6 months, by January, midterm, he had completed to mastery level the entire 5th grade math book, 6 months before the scheduled time to complete it. We had a graduation ceremony moving him from the 5th grade to a 6th grade math book, and he was ecstatic. He not only could prove to himself that he was good and smart, but he had already surpassed his friend, and he achieved it in half the time. At the end of the year, I got a letter from this little boy who wrote me, Dear Mrs. Linksman, thank you for planting the seeds of what is really important in my life. It's hard for me to tell this story. It gets me all broken up. That this transformed boy who started out as a terror in life, going downhill year after year, could have such a transformation, wrote such a poetic letter, and became someone who cared about learning and was successful. So it turned out that all this acting out was masking the deeper issue of him, feeling like a failure. And being the class clown gave him self-esteem as a leader, even in an antisocial way. So the lesson here has to do with the need for success.
Please enter a comment below to go to the next page to continue learning the 7 secrets to help your kinesthetic or tactile child excel. And also to download your bonus book, Tactile Activities Your Child Will Love, in just 27 days. Improve your child's vocabulary and reading comprehension. Chapters 1 and 2 by Ricki Linksman. See you on the next page.